So a few weeks ago, I was sitting at our men's breakfast in the gym. I'm just surrounded by a whole bunch of guys. And I was sitting at my table, and at my table, I was surrounded by guys who have kids who are my age, kids who are older than me, kids who are younger than me. And as I was sitting there and looking around the room, I realized that I was in a room just surrounded by a whole bunch of guys who were full of wisdom and insight and who are in different walks of life from me. And as I was sitting there, it made me think of Acts, the church in Acts. Acts 2:42-47 says, "And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes. They received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved." So as I was sitting there at the men's breakfast, and this sort of the Church of Acts popped into my head, it was just this idea of getting to do life with people who I don't typically do life with. I'm typically, hanging out with young adults. That's my job, is to hang out with young adults, to be the minister to young adults. And then I hang out with our students a lot because that was my previous job, was student ministry. And I built a lot of good relationships with our students. And so I typically am the older person in the group. But here I was sitting at the men's breakfast, and I was one of the younger people in that room of 60 plus people. And as I looked around, I realized that there was tons of wisdom and tons of insight from all of the people who I was surrounding myself with. But I realized as I was sitting there that I also could learn and could grow from those people who are older than me, who have that wisdom and insight and the experience that they've gone through. And as I looked around the room, I realized that I wanted to get to know all of the guys, all the guys in the room, all 60 plus people. I was really intrigued by, man, look at all these people who are successful with their families, with their marriages, with their kids, in their careers, and they have all of this insight that I would love to learn and love to grow from. And as I was sitting there, I realized it was sort of an encouragement to me to get out of my normal group, to get out of my regular sphere of influence, and to seek guidance and counsel and wisdom from those who are in different walks of life from me. I typically am hanging out with young adults and hanging out with students, and I love those people, and I love getting to spend time with them, and I've got great personal relationships with them. But it was an encouragement of me to make sure that I'm being poured into as well by people who are older than me, by people who have already walked through this stage of life, who are dads, who are husbands, who are successful in their careers, and have those people being able to pour into me as well. And then also making sure that I'm pouring into other people. I think a lot of times we get caught up in this concept of, oh, well, I'm just a regular average Joe and I don't have anything to give in the sense of pouring into someone. But I think that's something that is a common misconception, because there's lots of wisdom and knowledge that we have that we don't even recognize, that those who are younger than us or those who are in a different walk of life desire as well. And I know for me, sometimes I can get caught up in the logistics of my job and ministry, because ministry is having those relationships with people, but I can get caught up in the logistics of the planning and all of that sometimes the personal, the one-on-one side of my ministry and my job can sometimes suffer. And so that, as I was sitting at that men's breakfast, it was a big encouragement for me to continue to pursue and to know those people and to be invested in and to invest in those people around me. And so as I was sitting there and I was encouraged by all of this, I thought of a challenge for me even, and a challenge for you as well, is to go and get outside of your regular group of people this next week and to get outside of your regular sphere of influence. And maybe that means going and grabbing lunch with someone new, or going and grabbing coffee, or going and doing something outside if it's not 1,000 degrees, going and spending that time with someone this week who isn't in your regular sphere of influence. Spend that time getting to know someone new, getting to invest in someone new, being poured into by someone new, because it's something that is truly a great thing. And being in Christian community is so vital for us. Like in Acts 2:42, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. And I encourage you to invest in your time in doing that this week with someone new.